I'll buy a bottle for 200. At this juncture, not to mention 200, even 20 million would not suffice to procure a single breath of oxygen for Chun Xiao and the others. Yin Bingqin turned her head and suggested, "Shall we deliberate on whether to stay or leave?" Tang Xiaofei furrowed his brow, still undecided. Xiong Chao proposed, "Perhaps we should wait for rescue." Zhang Ming countered, "Rescue will come for sure, but the timing is uncertain. As our supplies dwindle, in a couple of days, we might not even have the opportunity to escape." Indeed, the food supply for Chun Xiao and his companions was meager. Most self-driving travelers had brought merely snacks and a limited amount of emergency provisions. Upon taking stock, the 5 of them had a total of 6 packs of instant noodles, 10 chocolate bars, 6 sausages, and a few half-filled bottles of water. The food might sustain them for 2 days, but the water was insufficient. This meant that if they remained for 2 days without rescue, they would lack the strength to flee from this location. "I suggest we leave. I despise the notion of entrusting our fate to chance," Chen Xiao asserted. Yin Bingqi nodded in agreement. "I too favor the idea of departing. You 3 should consider it. I will not compel you to make a choice at this moment." Tang Xiaofei, already indecisive, felt encouraged by Chun Xiao and Yin Bingqin's resolve to leave, and thus joined in their sentiment. Among the 5, only Xiong Chao wished to stay but lacked the courage to voice it. Consequently, he acquiesced. "All right, let us go." Once the decision was made, the group, characterized by their decisiveness, shouldered their backpacks and began to move. However, just as they rose, a group of men clad in short sleeves, shivering in the cold, emerged from a nearby 7-seater SUV. Their attire was adorned with intricate designs, and their uniformly short haircuts indicated their affiliation with an organized group of social youths. "How much for your jackets?" "We'll pay double," the leader approached, exuding an air of authority, bypassing the question of whether they were for sale and stating a price directly. Chun Xiao assessed the situation. There were 7 of them, all appearing formidable, while their own group consisted of 4 men and 1 woman, with Xiong Chao likely being the weakest in a scuffle. The intent of the newcomers was evident, and there was no need for further deliberation. Yin Bingqin contemplated for a moment before asking, "Do you have any water?" The man paused, "Yes. But the issue now is that I want to buy your jackets." Yin Bingqin smiled, her beauty radiating, momentarily captivating the 7 men opposite her. "We're not selling." The leader, regaining his composure, smirked. "Little sister, you seem to misinterpret the situation. With such looks, do you dare to stand out? In these desolate wilds, do you know what could happen?" Chen Xiao steeled himself for a fight. Without jackets, they would not survive, let alone escape. The cold and dampness posed a grave threat to life if their body temperatures plummeted. How audacious, to take advantage of one's looks. This is not the time for such arrogance. Who cares what you look like? Get them. Strip them of their belongings. 6 individuals lunged toward her from behind. However, they were utterly unprepared for the astonishing prowess of the seemingly delicate beauty. Yin Bingqin unleashed her strength without warning, twisting her waist in a full 360 degrees, delivering a swift whip kick that sent the foremost man flying over 2 meters, rendering him incapable of resistance. Following this, she seized one person's arm and executed a shoulder throw, simultaneously delivering a backward kick that connected with another man's chin. In the blink of an eye, she had incapacitated 3 adversaries with movements that were both decisive and fluid, leaving onlookers in a state of shock. Chun Xiao had only heard tales of her abilities until this moment, when he fully grasped just how formidable Yin Bingqin truly was. It was no wonder that Tang Xiaofei and the others held her in such dread. In just a few moments, one of the 3 opponents had lost at least half a dozen teeth, another had dislocated his jaw, and the last was still recovering from the fall. The leader of the group was clearly taken aback by her remarkable skill and found himself at a loss for what to do next. Engaging in a 4-against-5 confrontation seemed futile, yet retreating would be difficult to explain to his companions. Fortunately, Yin Bingqin, displaying her keen understanding of the situation, approached him, resting a hand on his shoulder to alleviate his embarrassment. "How much water do you have? I'll buy it all for 10 yuan a bottle." The man hesitated, stammering, "Not much." A faint smile curled at the corners of Yin Bingqin's lips, and then, with a swift motion, she deftly restrained his arm. Stop. We have water. I'll sell it to you." "Oh no, I'll give it to you. Just let go or I'll dislocate." Yin Bingqin shot a glance at her companions, prompting Tang Xiaofei to scamper to their vehicle and retrieve a whole case of bottled water. With a kick, she sent the man sprawling, then tossed a wad of cash onto his face. "Here is your payment for the water and the medical expenses." Chapter 172. Sustained by the will to survive, Chen Xiao and his companions raised their thumbs in admiration for Yan Bingqin. Impressive. Yan Bingqin clapped her hands, packed the water, and prepared to leave. All right. Tang Xiaofei immediately began unpacking, distributing 2 bottles to each person, stowing them securely on either side of their backpacks. With provisions for both food and water, they were now equipped to embark on foot. Within 2 days, they believed they could reach a village. Just as they were organizing to set off, the middle-aged man they had encountered earlier in Kongding called out, Wait, we want to join you. I have oxygen. The group paused, surprised to see him again. Oxygen is vital in the highlands, especially when trekking, as physical exertion can lead to severe altitude sickness with little warning. Unfortunately, their vehicle carrying oxygen had become separated from them, leaving them with only a meager supply of portable tanks. However, the condition of the middle-aged couple was not favorable. The woman who had intended to introduce her daughter to Chen Xiao had been struck on her left calf by falling debris. While her bones seemed intact, she was bleeding profusely and limping severely. Yan Bingqin furrowed her brow. I'm sorry, but you want to be able to keep up. Don't worry. We want to be a burden. We'll just follow behind you. Just leave us markers so we don't get lost. The middle-aged man adeptly grasped the crux of the matter, initiating conversations with a few individuals by first asserting his value with a straightforward declaration of having oxygen. He swiftly alleviated their concerns, assuring them that no additional help was necessary and that he would not be a burden. Chen Xiao thought to himself, this man is quite remarkable. How much oxygen do you have? The middle-aged man pointed to the trunk, saying, in addition to the box you provided, there are 2 more. The group's eyes brightened at the mention of 3 boxes, containing over 30 canisters of oxygen, capable of resolving significant issues. Yan Bingqin exchanged glances with the others, and upon noticing no dissent, stated, Very well, we shall proceed as you suggest, dividing the oxygen equally. The middle-aged man had no objections. He promptly opened the trunk, and each person retrieved their allotted share before setting off. The middle-aged man, along with his wife, strapped on their backpacks, using trekking poles for support as they followed behind the others. Many bystanders continued to advise against the perilous mountain ascent, urging them to stay back. Little did they consider that the rescue technology of this era was far less advanced than in future times. Entering the wilderness posed its own challenges. For those remaining behind, it was not merely food and water that posed the greatest threat. Rather, the low temperatures and lack of oxygen were the true killers. The group of 7 ascended the mountain path at a slow pace. Having not traveled far, Chen Xiao began to feel the altitude's effects. His lungs felt constricted. His heart raced violently, and he sensed blood rushing to his head, leaving him somewhat dazed. He glanced at the others, noting that they appeared even worse, their faces flushed. The muddy and slippery trail, combined with the oxygen deprivation, rendered their movements unsteady. Zhang Meng, Xiong Chao, and the middle-aged man at the rear had already begun to inhale oxygen continuously. Despite being only 300 meters from the summit, the ascent proved exceedingly arduous, taking nearly 3 hours to reach the top. Chen Xiao managed to refrain from using oxygen, while Zhang Meng and Xiong Chao had already consumed an entire canister. Standing on a ridge, they looked down to see not merely a few areas but a landscape riddled with landslides. The middle-aged man had fallen far behind. Yet, no one waited for him. They fashioned directional arrows with stones and began their descent. Xiong Chao's breathing was labored, akin to a bellows, as he stumbled unevenly. In a dire state. Brother, hang in there. If you die here, how will I explain it to Uncle Xiong? Tang Xiaofei urged. Xiong Chao could scarcely respond, weakly waving his hand as he moved forward step by step. He had exhausted more than half of his oxygen, leaving only 1 full canister. After finally reaching the base of the mountain, Xiong Chao and Zhang Meng collapsed onto the ground. I can't go on. I'm both exhausted and hungry. Let us take a break and eat something, Xiong Chao murmured. No, we cannot. Yan Bingqin interjected sharply. This is just the beginning. What will you do if you consume everything now? Her reasoning held merit. The food each person carried might suffice for only 1 substantial meal if consumed freely, and perhaps barely sustain them for 2 days if rationed. They had likely not even completed 1/10 of their journey. It was imperative to plan and conserve their provisions. Hand over all the food to me, and I will allocate it according to necessity, Yan Bingqin instructed. Upon hearing this, the group obediently removed their backpacks and surrendered their supplies to her. Chen Xiao was taken aback, wondering if everyone truly placed such unwavering faith in Yan Bingqin. She cast him a brief glance and said, You may choose to carry it yourself or leave it with me. After contemplating, Chen Xiao decided to relinquish it to her, reasoning that she possessed greater stamina. Consequently, he, like the others, handed over the food from his backpack to Yan Bingqin. The pivotal point was that if she wished to hoard it all for herself, even if the four of them, who were rather inept, banded together, the outcome would likely remain unchanged. After resting for a mere 10 minutes, the group was urged by Yan Bingqin to rise. We must continue. If we linger any longer, we will lose too much body heat and be unable to move forward. With great effort, they rose and pressed onward, once again leaving the middle-aged couple who had just caught up far behind. As they traversed the flat valley, Zhang Meng and Xiong Chao managed to keep pace, walking silently in the midst of the group. Tang Xiaofei walked alongside Chen Xiao, noting that while Sister Qin's punches were indeed painful in critical moments, one could always rely on her. She would never abandon her comrades. Chen Xiao remained non-committal, as he had not grown up alongside Yan Bingqin like Tang Xiaofei and the others. Seeing his skepticism, Tang Xiaofei continued. Zhang Meng's life was saved by Sister Qin. Oh, is that so? Chen Xiao inquired, intrigued. Tang Xiaofei nodded, recounting how, during middle school, Zhang Meng nearly drowned in the reservoir beside their school. None of them had the courage to jump in and rescue him, but Sister Qin had plunged into the water, bringing him back to safety, nearly losing her own life in the process. Consequently, Zhang Meng had endured the most beatings from her, yet never uttered a word of complaint. This revelation profoundly moved Chen Xiao. He had not anticipated that amidst the self-serving elite, Yan Bingqin harbored such a side. It seemed that the facets of a person could vary significantly depending on ordinary circumstances or moments of crisis. To conserve their energy, the two did not engage in further conversation and continued walking until darkness enveloped them, finally arriving at the foot of the second mountain. Yan Bingqin sought out a sheltered spot to establish their camp for the night. The group collapsed onto the ground, utterly exhausted and unwilling to move. Despite exercising considerable restraint, Xiong Chao had depleted his oxygen tank, while Zhang Meng had half a tank remaining, and Tang Xiaofei had one full tank left. Only Chen Xiao and Yan Bingqin had not consumed any oxygen, and as for the middle-aged couple, their whereabouts had become a mystery as they had vanished from sight. Yan Bingqin produced 2 packets of instant noodles and 2 bottles of mineral water, distributing 1 packet of noodles and 1 bottle of water to each pair, advising them to savor their meals slowly for better absorption and to retire early afterward. Chen Xiao and the others accepted the food and water. Then, Yan Bingqin utilized a plastic bag as kindling to ignite the damp firewood. The flames not only provided warmth, but also ignited a flicker of hope, illuminating the weary faces of the group. After a day spent walking and consuming only half a packet of instant noodles, Chen Xiao felt no sensation in his stomach, though the intense hunger had significantly abated. Suddenly, he realized that Yan Bingqin had only sipped some water and had not eaten anything. "Aren't you going to eat?" he asked. Yan Bingqin replied, "I'll save it for breakfast. Now sleep." Chen Xiao pondered for a moment, but chose not to inquire further. Surrounded by the comforting warmth of the fire, the group gradually drifted into slumber. Time passed, though how much was uncertain, when Chen Xiao was roused by the sound of someone speaking. It was the woman from the middle-aged couple, her voice tinged with a sob. "This is it. We have finally arrived. Old Liu, why don't you just leave by yourself tomorrow and not worry about me? I can't hold on any longer." "Nonsense. I swear that even in death, I shall remain with you," the woman retorted. "Then take a breath of oxygen." "I'm fine. There is not much left, and I want to save it for a critical moment." The man stubbornly refused. Chen Xiao sat up and added more firewood to the blaze before attempting to sleep again. Now is not the time for meddling. Every ounce of energy is precious. That night, the group found little rest. The dampness, hardness, and cold relentlessly assaulted them. As dawn broke, they rose early. Observing the middle-aged couple huddled together, Yan Bingqin chose silence and began to pack for their next leg. "Wait, I'll trade some oxygen for food," said the middle-aged man. Chen Xiao was taken aback. At 700 meters in Kongding, he had felt altitude sickness, and now, at over 4,000 meters, he intended to barter his remaining oxygen for sustenance. The woman immediately broke down in tears. "Old Liu, please endure and don't use the oxygen. Don't cry. Shedding tears depletes energy," he admonished. She obediently stifled her sobs, clutching his arm tightly. "I'm not hungry. You need to save the oxygen." The man ignored her. "Will you trade or not?" Oxygen and food were nearly equally vital resources, and as Kong Chao's oxygen was exhausted, he felt tempted. "No trade," Yan Bingqin declared. Kong Chao sighed. feeling somewhat dejected. Yin Bingqin produced a canister of her oxygen and offered it to Kong Chao. You use this for now. Kong Chao looked up. Sister Qin, no need for words, just take it. He nodded and accepted it, and the group set off. The middle-aged man clenched his jaw but remained silent. Chun Xiao had 2 pieces of chocolate hidden in the pocket of his jacket. Remnants from yesterday he had forgotten to retrieve. After a moment's contemplation, he approached the man and handed him a Swiss Army knife. Brother, you might try the tree bark. The fibers inside, while not palatable, can sustain you for a couple of days. The middle-aged man was taken aback, but nodded in acknowledgement. Thank you. With that, Chun Xiao departed, gradually catching up with the main group. Today, everyone's condition deteriorated further. The lack of adequate rest, food, and oxygen had even drained some color from Yin Bingqin's face. By midday, Tang Xiaofei had only half a bottle of oxygen left, while Zhang Meng and Kong Chao had completely exhausted theirs, collapsing on the ground with purpling lips and flushed faces. They were still deep within the mountains. According to the driver before their departure, they needed to cross the mountain ahead to reach the nearest village. However, it seemed that Kong Chao and Zhang Meng might not have that chance. Chun Xiao calculated his own oxygen needs for traversing the mountain and believed he could spare a bottle. He resolved to give his last ounce of strength, sharing 1 bottle of oxygen with the 2, leaving the rest to fate. Yet before he could act, Yin Bingqin had already opened 2 of her oxygen canisters and pressed them to the mouths of both men. With a second's timing, she delivered several bursts of oxygen, bringing them back to a semblance of consciousness. Chun Xiao furrowed his brow. Yin Bingqin was courting disaster. That was her last breath of oxygen. Once it was exhausted, there would be no hope of scaling the towering mountain, which was visibly over 5,000 meters high. He silently withdrew his hand from the oxygen tank. Mengzi, let me carry your backpack. Can you still walk? Chun Xiao inquired. Zhang Meng weakly nodded. At this moment, giving up meant relinquishing life itself. Thus the 5 of them, supporting one another, staggered towards their objective. Their endurance and physical strength were nearing their limits, sustained solely by the instinct for survival. Chapter 173. You wanted me to marry you, didn't you? At last, they reached the foot of the second peak by 8 o'clock in the evening. The sky in this remote region had yet to fully succumb to darkness. Chun Xiao gazed upon the mountain, which was nearly at the snow line, uncertain whether they could make it across. What added to their despair was the onset of light rain. At temperatures below 20 degrees, exposure to rain could lead to hypothermia and death. The temperature was now approaching freezing. Zhang Ming collapsed onto the ground, declaring, I can't go on. If you survive, tell my father I will honor him in the next life. Slap. Yin Bingqin delivered a sharp strike to his face, exclaiming, Shut up. I fought tooth and nail to pull you from the water back then. I didn't do that for you to give up now. Get up. Zhang Ming struggled against the urge to cry, yet managed to rise, compelled by Yin Bingqin's words, which he would heed even unto death. Chun Xiao sighed. Let us proceed along the rock face. It's a matter of fate now. If we can find a cave to shelter from the rain, perhaps we might survive. But if we cannot find refuge, our waterproof jackets will not withstand a night of relentless rain, and none of us will see the sun rise again. At this juncture, there was no struggle, no complaints, just a mechanical, numbed progression. Moments later, Shen Xiao Baoza. He finally experienced what it meant to encounter a glimmer of hope. A spacious cave appeared before them without warning. Quick, the cave! This cry ignited their latent potential. They nearly tumbled into the cave in a desperate scramble. Fortunately, dry leaves, blown in by the wind, were present, and they easily sparked a fire. As warmth enveloped them once more, their trembling gradually subsided, and their icy bodies began to recover. Only 2 packets of instant noodles remained. Yin Bingqin distributed them among the 4. Chun Xiao furrowed his brow, realizing that Yin Bingqin had only consumed 2 sausages and a small piece of chocolate that afternoon, her only sustenance in 2 days. I'm not hungry, Tang Xiaofei gulped, stating. Zhang Meng and Xiong Chao mimicked him, shaking their heads in denial of hunger. Yin Bingqin retorted angrily, Stop with the nonsense. If you all die, who will help me contend with that wretched Yin Yin Yin? Eat up and rest. Tomorrow, everyone must fight for their lives. Chun Xiao had never felt such a warm threat. From Yin Bingqin's delicate frame emanated a determination that would make any man sweat. He finally understood why Tang Xiaofei and the others had always been bullied by her without resistance. It was not due to lack of strength. Shaking his head, he realized he had underestimated the situation. Tang Xiaofei and his companions only shared a single packet of instant noodles before they unknowingly drifted off to sleep around the campfire. In the latter half of the night, Chun Xiao observed Yin Bingqin who was curled up beside the fire, and recalled the words of Gon Mishu, which stirred something within him. After a moment's contemplation, he crawled over and gently embraced her trembling, cold, yet soft form. Upon realizing it was Chun Xiao, Yan Bingqin's gaze flickered momentarily, but she obediently remained silent. "Are you not afraid of dying by not eating?" Chun Xiao inquired. Yan Bingqin slowly shook her head. He pressed further. "If you perish, what will happen to the company? What about all the wealth?" Yan Bingqin replied, "If I am to die, what is there to ponder? If I survive, I will continue to fight." Chun Xiao chuckled softly, reaching into his pocket to retrieve a large piece of chocolate, which he assertively placed in her mouth. Yan Bingqin attempted to resist. Chun Xiao whispered in her ear, "Be obedient and eat it. I want to allow you to die. Don't you wish for me to marry you? Let us out of this." Feeling the warmth by her ear, Yan Bingqin suddenly fell silent. In the darkness, tears silently streamed down her cheeks. Since the passing of her mother, she had long forgotten the sensation of heartfelt warmth. That night, they embraced and slept soundly, with Yan Bingqin no longer shivering. By dawn, Tang Xiaofei, Zhang Meng, and Xiong Chao gazed at the sight of Yan Bingqin nestled in Chun Zhao's arms with odd expressions. Was fate so cruelly ironic? Alas, they were destined to be a pair of star-crossed lovers. How enviable that Sister Qin could find love before her demise. While I remain a solitary dog until my last breath, their musings awakened Chun Xiao and Yan Bingqin. Yan Bingqin's cheeks flushed as she tidied her disheveled hair. At this point, the group had lost the energy to quarrel. The situation before them was indeed dire. Their stamina and supplies were insufficient to scale the mountain ahead. Their lives were already on the brink. "Shall we take a gamble or await our fate?" Chun Xiao asked. Yan Bingqin remained silent, seemingly inclined to follow Chun Zhao's lead. Tang Xiaofei and the others had succumbed to despair. The towering mountain, over 5,000 meters high, appeared insurmountable. They felt like giving up. After all, if death was inevitable, what was the point of struggle? Even lifting a leg required immense effort. The slightest movement made their hearts feel as if they would leap from their chests, and dizziness threatened to overwhelm them. Tang Xiaofei remarked, "Xiaozi, you go ahead. If you manage to survive, tell my father to consider having a second child, if possible." Chun Xiao did not perceive this as a jest. He earnestly noted each person's words, just as they were exchanging their last sentiments. A sudden sound echoed from within the cave. The group paused, instinctively huddling together, their eyes fixated on the source of the noise. After a moment, the sounds grew clearer, revealing footsteps and voices. "There are people." An instant surge of joy washed over them. The presence of others meant hope for survival. Moments later, they indeed saw a group of men, women, and children clad in traditional attire emerge. Upon spotting Chun Xiao and the others, their pace quickened. Though they spoke in a language that was foreign to him, their eyes radiated genuine concern. Hot water, wool blankets, and flatbreads appeared as if by magic. Zhang Meng, clutching a flatbread, sobbed uncontrollably, his emotions unraveling. "Whoa, I am alive. I do not have to die," he cried, and were no better off, tears welling in their eyes. Chun Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. Wealth, beauty, everything was just beginning, and he certainly did not wish to lose it all so soon. "Are you all right?" A celestial voice resonated, speaking Mandarin fluently. Chun Xiao and his companions turned in astonishment. Wasn't this the ethereal figure from the auction at the Zijin Manor? They had playfully teased her about having a grandfather who sold tea, never imagining that their lives would be saved by her. "No, we're fine," replied. Chun Xiao suddenly froze, urgently pulling the ethereal figure towards the cave entrance. "Over there," he pointed in the direction they had come from, "there's a middle-aged couple. I cannot ascertain if they're still alive." The ethereal figure nodded quickly and hurried to an elder, communicating in her native tongue. Soon, a group of individuals was racing towards the direction Chun Xiao indicated. Having lived on the plateau for years, they moved swiftly, showing no signs of altitude sickness. Advancing at a remarkable pace. "Shen Xiao Sigid. I hope you're still alive." Yan Bingqin approached, asking, "Chun Xiao, do you still mean what you said last night?" Chun Xiao hesitated. "What did I say?" "The phrase, 'Did you not wish for me to marry you?'" she replied. "Yes, that one. I do wish it," she said joyfully. Chun Xiao responded, "Oh, but I am unwilling." Chun Xiao. Chapter 174. Chahakal is the name of this beautiful village nestled in the mountains. A place that Chun Xiao and his companions would forever remember. Upon hearing of a massive landslide nearby, the villagers of Chahakal immediately organized a rescue effort. Chun Xiao and his friends were among the first survivors they brought back. After consuming a hearty bowl of milk tea and some tsampa, to fill their stomachs. They wrapped themselves in blankets, comfortably basking in the sun in the courtyard. In that moment, and his companions experienced, for the first time, the profound joy of merely being alive, a happiness that transcended the thrill that wealth could bring. Yet for Chun Xiao, it was different. Having known poverty and even faced death, he understood the depths of despair that come with being destitute. Thus, the significance of money in Chun Xiao's eyes would never waver. "I wish to donate money," Zhang Ming declared. Added, "Though I am currently poor, I will sell my house and car to contribute to this village." Nodded in agreement, evidently sharing their sentiments. "And you, Chun Xiao?" Yin Bingqin inquired. "Me?" Chun Xiao pondered for a moment. "I shall not donate money." "Ah, why not?" And the others questioned in confusion. Chun Xiao replied, "I will repair the road that connects here to the outside world and build a water supply facility." The group fell silent, lost in contemplation. The sunlight of Chahakal is the warmest in the world, and the sky here is the most profound. Despite the prevailing opinion of everyone else, Chun Xiao and a few others held a different view. However, they were not alone in their sentiments, as soon others began to share their feelings. Several villagers returned with two individuals on a makeshift stretcher. It was the middle-aged couple. Chun Xiao immediately rose, feeling a surge of joy at the realization that they were still alive. The woman appeared frail, her face flushed, and her lips chapped, suggesting she had fever. The man fared slightly better, though he still exhibited severe symptoms of hypoxia. Chun Xiao approached and offered him the last bottle of oxygen. The man glanced at him and said, "Thank you." "No need for thanks," Chun Xiao replied. Neither party mentioned the events of the past, nor did Chun Xiao and his companions feel any guilt. In the face of life and death, there are no grand, touching tales among strangers. "I am Lu Xingchen. Thank you for guiding us and notifying the rescue team of our location," he stated. Yin Bingqin interjected, "There's no need to thank us. It was merely luck. We were uncertain if heading in this direction would yield any rescue." Lu Xingchen nodded and borrowed a phone from a villager. "Hello, please send a helicopter here. This location is called Chahakal." After a moment as consideration, he added, "Make it two. We have some friends as well." With that, he ended the call. Chun Xiao and his companions were somewhat surprised. They had not anticipated this uncle to possess such resourcefulness. Although Yin Bingqin and the others could have done the same, it at least indicated that he held a respectable position in the commercial world. Dear guests, why not indulge in some milk tea? The group's attention returned to the enchanting figure of the Highland spirit, who appeared slightly embarrassed. "What are you all staring at?" she inquired. Yin Bingqin chuckled. "Do not misunderstand. Beauty, it is quite astonishing to see this group of fellows manage to refrain from rushing at someone of your caliber." Chun Xiao added, "Do not heed her nonsense. We are merely observing how you seem even more beautiful in person than in the video." "Oh, you've seen my video? The children in our mountainous region are delightful. Aren't they?" she responded. Chun Xiao thought to himself, "With you in the video, who could possibly notice the children?" "Yes, quite adorable. Are you from Chahakal village?" he asked. "I am from Shucheng, but I have lived in the Tibetan region for quite some time." "Oh, from Shucheng? No wonder you are so beautiful and kind," Zhang Ming remarked, somewhat astonished. At that moment, a group of children rushed over, surrounding Zhuoma with excitement. "Have you finished your homework?" they asked eagerly. "Yes, dear children. What do we do when guests arrive?" Zhuoma replied with a gentle smile. "I know. We must give them a warm welcome." It was evident that the children adored Zhuoma, their eyes reflecting genuine affection for her. Zhuoma, with her innocent and tender smile, patiently engaged with each child. This scene was even more impactful than what Chun Xiao and the others had witnessed in the video. After a brief pause, Tang Xiaofei remarked, "Aren't you all planning to donate? Why not support the educational development in remote areas instead?" Zhang Ming and Xiong Chao nodded in agreement. In the village of Chahakal, the villagers might not have realized that the few individuals they rescued were indeed treasures. However, Chun Xiao had different thoughts. He deemed the money that Zhang Ming and Xiong Chao possessed to be insignificant. The 3 or 5 schools could hardly alter the overall situation. After some calculation, he estimated that, given the current rate of profit, the annual revenue would be around 40 to 50 billion. Investing a few billion each year into education in remote mountainous areas should not pose a problem. Of course, that could be discussed later. The present moment called for financial resources. The real estate and film industries were notorious for consuming vast amounts of money, while finance was the domain of generating wealth through expenditure. Although the 40 billion Chun Xiao held appeared substantial, it felt quite constraining once utilized. He believed charitable endeavors should only commence once his wealth reached the 100 billion mark. Chun Zhao's obsession with this notion was not driven by a desire to enhance his influence or create a protective charm. Rather, he simply wished to contribute sincerely. Teacher Zhuya, may I have your phone number, please? Chun Xiao inquired. Zhuya smiled brightly. Sure, you are all university students, right? If you have time in the future, you could come here to teach the children. Chun Xiao nodded, no problem. After exchanging numbers, Zhuya led a group of children back to their studies. Xiaozi, impressive. You've even got her number, but do you genuinely wish to teach? Zhang Ming expressed skepticism regarding his intentions. Chun Xiao was at a loss for words. What kind of nonsense is that? If I'm here, how could I not teach? The group turned their gaze towards the receding figure of Zhuya, expressions of realization adorning their faces. Damn, what a bunch of fools. I can't stand you all. Chun Xiao muttered before rising to return to the house. After charging his phone sufficiently, he turned on to find hundreds of messages awaiting him. Within a minute, the phone rang. Hello, boss. Is it you? The voice on the other end belonged to Lei Ting, quivering with tension. Chun Xiao chuckled. It's me. Don't worry. I'm still alive. How are you all? Lei Ting sighed in relief. We're fine, just sustained minor injuries. We're currently searching the mountains with the rescue team. Knowing you are safe puts our minds at ease. All right, head back to Shu City and wait for me. I'll return shortly. Understood. After hanging up, Chun Xiao briefly scanned the messages, most of which were from Su Tang, Xia Yudi, and Lin Yanran, the three women who knew of his whereabouts in the Tibetan region, along with the bodyguards accompanying them. Su Tang's messages began with work updates, but soon transitioned to inquiries about his location, relentlessly for 2 days and nights. Chapter 175. Return to Binjiang number 1. Chun Xiao returned Su Tang's call, but no one answered after a long wait. Just as he was about to hang up, Lin Yan's voice came through. Hello, is this the boss? Yes, we're Su Tang. She is asleep. Please hold on while I wake her. Not in a rush. Where are you? It sounds so noisy. Oh, we just flew to Kongding and are now driving on National Highway 318 to find you. Chun Xiao exclaimed. Why did you all come over? Lin Yanyu replied. After losing contact with you, Su Tang called Lei Ting's satellite phone to learn about the landslide you encountered, and she immediately rushed over. She hasn't slept for 2 days and nights, and just fell asleep as we got in the car. Lin Yanyu, concerned that Chun Xiao might misunderstand Su Tang, took the time to clarify matters for her. Chun Xiao felt a warmth in his heart and replied, You all wait for me in Shucheng. I am safe now and will fly directly there. Oh, all right, boss. I'll instruct the driver to turn around, came the response. Yes, do that. After hanging up the phone, Chun Xiao called home and reached out to several other women before stepping out of the room. Thanks to the villagers' care, the condition of the middle-aged couple had improved significantly. They lay outside on chairs, wrapped in blankets, basking in the comforting sunlight. Neither group mentioned the previous incident. Instead, they engaged in conversation about the unfinished journey ahead. Tian Schumann found herself inexplicably drawn to Chun Xiao. Despite his pale complexion, she could not help but inquire, Young man, do you have a girlfriend? Ha ha ha, Zhang Meng laughed. Auntie, Chun Xiao has many girlfriends. Which one are you asking about? Lu Xingchen interjected. See, I told you Chun Xiao isn't suitable for our daughter. A boy should be devoted to one person to be trustworthy. Chun Xiao was speechless, thinking, I never said anything, yet you all are filling in the blanks. Tian Schumann shot him a glance. What is wrong with being a little flirtatious? Old Lu, can you guarantee that I'm the only one? Are there no other women out there? Lu Xingchen shuddered at the implication. Of course not. There is no one else for me. Tian Schumann retorted, the more exceptional a man is, the greater the temptations he faces. How many can truly resist? As long as he can protect his woman, that is what matters. Otherwise, what good is a man who runs away when trouble arises? Even if he never has another woman in his life? Chun Xiao felt a stirring in his heart. This aunt had a profound understanding of matters. Although Lu Xingchen claimed otherwise, Chun Xiao, being a man himself, detected the underlying insecurity in his words. This aunt was aware of old Lu's infidelity, but chose to accept it. Perhaps she had hesitated to voice this before, but after experiencing life and death, she seized the opportunity to express it indirectly. Otherwise, why would old Lu's eyes be reddened and his breathing slightly accelerated? Chun Xiao remarked, Annie, you're right. The temptations are indeed plentiful. I once tried to resist, but alas, I found myself lacking in ability and ultimately failed. Tian Schumann chuckled, look at that, old Lu. You don't even live as freely as the young man here. As an experienced veteran, Lu Xingchen was not easily caught off guard. He is a flirtatious young lad. I'm not. So there is no comparison, right, Brother Chun? Ha ha, my elder brother is quite right. The atmosphere was relaxed, as they all laughed and exchanged banter without concern for the familial hierarchy. Chen Xiao referred to Tian Shuman as auntie and Lu Xingqian as elder brother, and no one found anything amiss. They continued chatting until noon, enjoying a light lunch. Around 2 in the afternoon, a faint rumbling resonated through the sky, and soon 2 distant black specks grew closer. The village children, witnessing a helicopter for the first time, leaped with joy and shouted in excitement. In truth, it was also Chen Xiao's first encounter with such an aircraft in reality. They temporarily bid farewell to the unforgettable Chahakal and the Highland spirits as they boarded the helicopter to return to Shuqing. Xia Yudi, upon encountering Chen Xiao once more, wept profusely, her tears flowing like a river. "Ooh, Chen Xiao, I thought I would never see you again." Each day, the news reports an increasing death toll, she lamented. Chen Xiao had also glanced at the recent news, noting that those stranded and awaiting rescue were in dire straits. Some had resorted to igniting their vehicles for warmth during the frigid nights. Yet, the following day, after the flames had extinguished, many succumbed to hypothermia. It was rumored that 7 men clad in short-sleeved shirts perished after burning their off-road vehicles in a desperate attempt to survive. Chen Xiao speculated whether these unfortunate souls were the ones beaten by Yan Bingqin, but he harbored no interest in such matters. After a prolonged period of consolation, Xia Yudi's sobs gradually subsided. Tian Shuman nudged Lu Xingqian with her elbow, whispering, "Did you see? That girl is utterly infatuated with him." Lu Xingqian merely curled his lips in response, remaining silent. They exchanged contact information and promised to reconvene when time permitted before parting ways on the tarmac. On their return journey, Tang Xiaofei and his companions reflected on their harrowing brush with death, each gaining a newfound appreciation for life and existence. After spending 2 days indulging in the culinary delights and beauty of Shuqing, Chen Xiao and his companions resolved to return to Jining. Xia Yudi, needing to accompany her father to the grasslands, reluctantly bid farewell to Chen Xiao. Observing their affectionate interaction, Yan Bingqin rolled her eyes in exasperation. Such a deceiver. Making empty promises just to please the girl. Xiong Chao, with a grin, approached Yan Bingqin and inquired, "Can I delay my investment for our real estate venture?" "Absolutely not. If you have the funds, invest. If not, find another pastime," she retorted. Just days ago, she had bravely led a group out of peril. Yet now she had transformed into an unapproachable ice queen. Outside Jining Airport, a line of over 20 luxury vehicles awaited. Beside each car stood 2 sharply dressed men in sunglasses, along with several distinguished individuals, who appeared to be of considerable status, waiting at the exit. Bystanders speculated about the identity of such esteemed guests, wondering if they were celebrities. Those with time and patience soon witnessed 4 men and 1 woman emerge from the airport, waving farewell before being enveloped by the welcoming party and ushered into various luxury cars. The convoy then split into 5, departing in succession. As they traveled the 600 miles, Chen Xiao felt as if he had entered another world. This summer had been exceptionally exhilarating. Lao Lu and Lei Yong had both returned to Jining ahead of schedule, unharmed. The vehicle glided smoothly through the bustling metropolis. Shi Yunru awaited at home, and the mere thought of her stirred excitement within Chen Xiao. Damn it! Even if the king of heaven himself were to come, nothing shall deter me. The car came to a halt in the underground garage of Binjiang No. 1. And Chen Xiao finally returned to the home he had missed for nearly 20 days. Upon entering, Shi Yunru enveloped him in a warm embrace and scrutinized him from head to toe. "You're not hurt, are you?" she asked anxiously. Chen Xiao opened his arms with a smile, replying, "All is well, functioning normally." At that, Shi Yunru's cheeks flushed instantly as she understood the implication behind his words. Let us eat first," she stammered. Chen Xiao scooped her up, declaring with a playful grin, "What shall we eat?" "You." The single mother, Dong Shu-Wen, emerged from the kitchen bearing dishes. Chen Xiao gently set Shi Yunru down and said, "If you don't mind, why not stay and dine with us?" Dong Shu-Wen's complexion flushed crimson at his words, having distinctly heard the boss express his desire for Shi Yunru's company. "No, thank you, boss. I wish you a pleasant meal," she replied, placing the dishes on the dining table. With a graceful gesture, she tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear and, removing her apron, bid farewell. Though the beautiful young woman was enchanting, it was evidently not an opportune moment for such distractions. "Very well, then allow me to see you off," Chen Xiao offered. Upon hearing this, Dong Shu-Wen hurriedly waved her hand. "No, please stay. I will return tomorrow." Is it truly that you won't join us for dinner?" he inquired. "Thank you for your kind invitation, but perhaps another time," she responded. "Well, that is acceptable." As Dong Shu-Wen entered the elevator, She placed one hand over her heart and the other brushed against her flushed cheeks, her mind swirling with chaotic thoughts. Just before reaching the ground floor, she abruptly came to her senses, shaking her head with a self-deprecating smile, and composed herself as she gracefully exited the Binjiang No. 1 building. In the restaurant, Shi Yunru was alluring and captivating. Knowing Chen Xiao would return, she had meticulously dressed to suit his preferences. She wore a cream-colored fitted athletic top paired with light, gray, stretchy leggings, her waist delicate and her figure curvaceous. Chen Xiao drew her closer, asking, "Yunru, did you miss me?" With a rosy complexion, she nodded slightly, her perfect curves deeply affecting him. His fingertips glided along her elegant lines, the air filled with her intoxicating fragrance. "Shall we dine?" Chen Xiao proposed. At last, he uncorked a long-anticipated exquisite red wine, raising his glass in a toast. The deep red liquid flowed smoothly, rich and aromatic. With melodious music and flickering red candles, Chen Xiao finally savored the long-awaited culinary delight. In the highlands of Tibet, he had thought he would never again have the chance to indulge in such pleasures. Hence, he cherished this moment with profound sentiment. After several rounds of wine, Chen Xiao carried the delectable dishes to the gymnasium, the very place where their acquaintance had blossomed. Having endured hunger in the harsh Tibetan terrain for far too long, his craving for food reached its zenith. As they dined, their conversation predominantly revolved around stock market insights, though they also touched upon various other topics. Chen Xiao, a man who cherished beauty, found himself captivated by Shi Yunru's stunning allure. As afternoon approached, Chen Xiao's stomach audibly protested. Shi Yunru nestled closer to him and playfully chided. "I told you to eat first." With a smile, he replied, "But I still want to eat." In the dining room, the table remained laden with untouched food, now cold. Chen Xiao selected a few microwavable items to heat and carried them to the bedroom. "Come, Yunru, you must be exhausted as well," he said. "It's mainly you who has worked hard." "I'm not tired," she quickly interjected. "Let us eat quickly. I want to sleep after this, I'm so tired." After they finished their meal, they embraced and drifted into slumber. Chen Xiao awoke after just an hour, rising to head towards his study. Shi Yunru appeared to be in a deep slumber until tomorrow. The beauty's sleeping posture was enticing, and Chen Xiao could not resist bestowing several kisses upon her. It was only when Shi Yunru turned over in protest, feebly waving her hand, that he left with a sense of satisfaction. He opened the recent report from Su Tang regarding the company's situation. A staggering $3.6 billion had already been invested into Yang Group stocks, leaving just over $500 million in cash on the books. Tomorrow marked July 19th, the final day of the first wave of declining market trends. Before an anticipated rise of 35%, Chen Xiao was confident that during the initial wave of the Yang Group's market fluctuations, securing around $10 billion should be a walk in the park. However, he was perplexed as to why the Yang Group would subsequently plummet by 55% from July 31st to August 28th. Holding the phone, Chen Xiao hesitated, contemplating whether to reach out to Yin Bingqin for clarification. Despite having recently shared a life-and-death experience, he knew her well enough. Upon her return, she would not divulge core interests due to personal feelings, unless they were truly wed. Yet, that was an impossibility. No matter how admirable Yin Bingqin was, he would not allow her to become his fetter. Lost in thought, his phone vibrated, and upon glancing at the screen, a smile crept across his face. It was indeed Yin Bingqin calling. "Hello, Sister Qin, what guidance do you seek?" Yin Bingqin's tone was less than pleasant, still fuming over Chen Zhao's unreliability regarding Chahakal. "I would like to invite you to dinner, Master Chen. Would you do me the honor? I appreciate your attentive care in the cave." After listening to her indignant words, Chen Xiao chuckled. "I'm sorry, Sister Qin, but I'm unavailable." "You, Sister Qin, I assure you this time it's not intentional. I truly have matters to attend to. How about the day after tomorrow? I'll treat you." Upon hearing this, Yin Bingqin softened her demeanor. "Very well then, I shall await your call the day after tomorrow." "All right, goodbye." After hanging up, Yin Bingqin pondered, this time it truly was intentional. What a scoundrel. It has always been deliberate before. Unaware of his verbal slip, Chen Xiao dressed and stepped out. He feared that remaining at home would tempt him to rouse Shi Yunru again, putting her through further strain. This girl had already exceeded her limits. Though restless, Chen Xiao still felt a pang of tenderness towards her. Arriving at the basement, he slid in the fiery red Ferrari 458. With a roar of the engine, the slumbering beast was awakened. Typically, one would allow the engine to warm up for a few minutes, but Chen Xiao was neither a car enthusiast nor collector. To him, a car was merely a tool, Despite its worth of several million, it did not warrant a waste of 2 minutes. With a press of the accelerator, he exited the basement, with a Land Rover following closely behind. The evening breeze in Jining was not as refreshing as that of the northern provinces. Yet Chun Xiao opened the convertible roof, immersing himself in the sultry air, blending into the fiery night of Jining. The supercar glided past the neon lights, leaving a vivid red silhouette etched in the minds of many passers-by. Upon arriving at the 1912 Bar Street, Chun Xiao disembarked and wandered aimlessly. Having no particular destination in mind, he had never set foot in a bar before. Now that he was nearby, he decided to venture inside and take a look. As he approached the entrance, two exquisitely adorned beauties on either side entwined their arms with his. "Handsome, would you treat us to a drink?" Chun Xiao glanced back at the Ferrari parked nearby, then at the two women, quickly realizing he had become the prey. "I can't. Come on, just one drink for us." They insisted. Chun Xiao pondered for a moment, then relented. "All right, let us go inside." Parking the sports car on the street may not guarantee the attention of beautiful women, but stopping in the bar district nearly assured it. Upon entering the bar, the pulsating music made his heart tremble, and his feet felt slightly numb. Goodness! For a fleeting moment, he contemplated turning back. However, having arrived, it seemed unreasonable not to indulge in the experience. Choosing a booth without checking the prices, he ordered an array of drinks, leaving the two women astonished. Exchanging glances, they thought, "This isn't just to get us tipsy. He intends to intoxicate us completely." Unbeknownst to them, Chun Xiao's drink orders had nothing to do with them. Even if he were alone, he would have done the same, merely seeking to savor the moment. The hall was a whirlwind of revelry, with lights flashing amid the cacophony of laughter and music. Suddenly, the music ceased, and a voice blared through the microphone. "To all the handsome men and beautiful women present, tonight's expenses are on young Master Zhang. Let us get wild. Love our revelry." Damn, just as I was trying to show off, someone else footed the bill? What a letdown. With that thought, he stood up and, amidst the bewildered expressions of the two women, exited the bar. Settling into the Ferrari, he closed the convertible top and turned on the air conditioning, sending a message in the Ning Gold Mining Group chat. Chun Xiao. Damn, just at the bar, was planning to show off, but some fool bought the whole tab. Tang Xiaofei. Huh? Probably wanted by Haonan's crew. Did you go to the bar? Chun Xiao. Yeah, just passing through for fun. You out? Tang Xiaofei. Nope. I'm home spending quality time with my mom. Xiong Xiao. Same here, just returned from the Tibetan region, and it feels like my dad has aged. Chun Xiao, what about Mengzi? Zhang Ming. I'm the fool who just bought the whole bar's tab. After sharing a laugh, they teased Zhang Ming, who returned from the Tibetan region, still shaken by his experiences, and had come to the bar for some cathartic consumption. After chatting for a while, everyone got back to their lives, and Chun Xiao prepared to head home, though he might not resist temptation upon returning. It was unacceptable to spend the night out when he had a home to go to. On the way, he couldn't help but recall Shi Yunru's perfect figure, igniting a fervor within him. Damn, Huang Banshan, what sort of technique have you imparted to me? It feels akin to being on some potent drug. Chun Xiao had just applied the method given by Huang Banshan with Shi Yunru, resulting in his current state. His abilities had indeed enhanced, and he felt neither drowsy nor fatigued. Yet, such overwhelming strength could be problematic. Shi Yunru was someone who regularly worked out and had good stamina. As he pondered this, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the car, prompting Chun Xiao to slam on the brakes. The carbon ceramic brakes were exceptionally effective, and at that moment, the car came to a swift halt. Yet, he still collided with the figure ahead. Chun Xiao assessed the impact. It should not be severe. Frowning, he exited the vehicle to find a woman lying on the ground. What happened? Are you hurt? As she lifted her head, Chun Xiao was momentarily taken aback. Li Minghua? A glance to the side revealed the very storefront where he had first come to purchase a mobile phone upon his rebirth. I'm so sorry. I was hurrying to deliver a phone, she explained. Li Minghua was undeniably beautiful, though somewhat materialistic. Upon their first encounter, she mistook Chun Xiao for a financially struggling student unable to afford an iPhone. Later, when he proved her assumptions wrong, she felt a twinge of regret, though it did not reach the level of true remorse. However, after Chun Xiao repeatedly brought others to her shop, she became increasingly unsettled, envious of the lost opportunities she could have had if she had not offended him. It was only today, as Chun Xiao emerged from a Ferrari, that she realized the magnitude of the opportunity she had squandered. Being one who favored wealth, how could she not be captivated by Chun Xiao? Are you all right? Chun Xiao inquired, his brow furrowed, concerned about the potential complications from the accident. Li Minghua shook her head. No, it's nothing serious, just a twisted ankle. Chun Xiao glanced down to see a scrape on her fair foot, with a few drops of blood seeping from the wound. Nearby lay a deformed phone box. Let us settle this privately. I'll give you 20,000, and you can go to the hospital afterward, plus the cost of the phone. Li Mingyue shook her head, looking pitiful. I don't want that. Can you forgive me for what happened before? Chun Xiao paused, feeling a heightened irritation. How do you wish for me to forgive you? Could you help me back to the store? She asked. Chun Xiao nodded. All right, let us go. As he assisted her, he was surprised by the smoothness of her skin. The store was already locked, but Li Mingyue opened it anew, switched on the lights, and sat down, retrieving a Band-Aid from behind the counter to tend to her injury. As Chun Xiao stepped back into the shop, he felt a wave of nostalgia. His first visit had marked the moment he earned his initial fortune, having arrived by taxi. Now, however, he arrived in a Ferrari, possessing billions, a remarkable transformation achieved in just over 2 months. Previously, he had relished in teasing this young woman, deliberately avoiding her every time he purchased a phone, having annoyed her twice. But circumstances had changed. If he were to buy another phone now, it would likely be through a call to Lin Yanran, asking her to handle it for him. Sir, would you like some water? Li Mingyue offered, pouring warm water into a disposable plastic cup. Chun Xiao accepted it. Do you usually work this late? Li Mingyue nodded. She wore a black body-hugging skirt paired with a white short-sleeve blouse, her figure tall and slender, her skin delicate and smooth. An unexpected silence enveloped the shop. The thoughts of the two individuals were not dissimilar, both sensing the subtle energy emanating from one another. However, due to their unfamiliarity, neither had the courage to initiate a conversation. After 2 minutes, Chun Xiao felt it was his duty as a man to take a tentative step forward. He crouched beside Li Mingyue, gently lifting her small foot and inquiring, "Does it still hurt?" Li Mingyue made no objection, merely shaking her head slightly. A flicker of joy ignited within Chun Xiao. The signal was unmistakable. He then placed his arm against her calf, teasing, "Your calf is nearly the same width as my arm. Let us compare." Chapter 178. The efforts of a salesman, the delicate sensation from her calf, caused Li Mingyue's cheeks to flush. Observing her lack of resistance, Chun Xiao grew bolder. Unbeknownst to them, he had unwittingly placed Li Mingyue upon his lap. She wrapped her arms around his neck, her breathing becoming increasingly irregular. The mobile phone store was brightly lit, with 3 windows aglow. After a moment of playful banter, he asked, "Are you here?" Li Mingyue gently shook her head, rising from his embrace to adjust her fitted skirt and tidy her white blouse. She first locked the door, then took Chun Xiao by the hand, leading him into the back storeroom. The atmosphere was secluded, devoid of any presence save for the shelves laden with mobile devices. At this juncture, the situation was abundantly clear. With a swift motion, skirts were pushed up and shirts were tugged down. Just then, a knock resounded from outside. "Is anyone there? I'm here to buy a phone. Are you really closed for business?" Chun Xiao, at a loss for words, chose to ignore the interruption. Little did they know, a light rain had begun to fall outside. The anxious customer, drenched and unable to enter, could only seek warmth by the door, feeling the heat seeping through the cracks. "Open the door. I saw 2 people inside just a moment ago." The would-be buyer, undeterred, lingered, hoping to gain entry. Yet, the door was firmly locked, unlike Chun Xiao, who was able to fulfill his desires. He stood on the slightly waterlogged ground, rhythmically tapping on the glass door, creating a persistent sound. The customer refused to believe that no one was inside, knocking for a solid 40 to 50 minutes without showing signs of fatigue. Even Li Mingyue, who listened from within, felt utterly exhausted. Chun Xiao stepped outside to check, only to find silence. No one is knocking anymore. They must have left. Their endurance is even less than mine, he mused before returning to the storeroom. Inside, devoid of air conditioning, a few stray strands of Li Mingyue's hair clung to her fair neck. Perhaps the blood from her scraped foot had smudged onto her thigh, leaving a crimson mark. She slumped into a chair, her lips slightly parted, weakly asking, I still don't know your name." "Chun Xiao," he replied. "Let me help you outside to rest. It's quite stifling in here." "Oh, okay." Upon returning to the front area, the cool air from the air conditioning felt refreshing. Chun Xiao held Li Mingyue as they sat at the bar. "Do you work here every day?" he inquired. "Yes," she nodded. Just then, someone knocked on the door again. Chun Xiao, feeling lethargic, muttered, "What now?" "I want to buy a phone." "We're not selling," came a frustrated reply from outside. "What the heck? Opening a store and not selling phones? Crazy." Then he left in a huff. Li Mingyue cast him a resentful glance,